Hi, this is John. If you're a Touring Plans user, you'll know me as JJT over on Line's chat or in the forums, and also as a sometimes blogger for Touring Plans on Priceline deals and how to find them. But this isn't for Touring Plans. This is just me having fun on my own because in 2020, who ain't got time to play with Disney spreadsheets? So the concept behind this spreadsheet, it's an upgrade to a previous one I created that will help decide whether you can save some money by buying annual pass vouchers now for use in the future. If you know you're going to go on multiple trips in the future where you're going to buy annual passes, um, it might be worth buying them now because any voucher you use now at the time of this recording is still valid until the year 2030. So it's sort of like an investment thing with Disney without buying stock. As with anything else in life, Disney prices go up. And let's jump over to another sheet for a second. If you look in my table here, here's the last 22 years of annual pass increases. And you can see that over time they were kind of cost of living feeling increases, but in 2017 they started jumping. And in 2018 we got two. And in 2019 there was a big uppercut of an increase, 22.6%. So just counting the last 5 years or so of annual passes, we've gone from $779 to $1,295. That's a big jump. So let's see if we can save some money. Let's go back to my main sheet. This is where we'll do all our stuff. In here, I have a little control panel on the left where you can enter some numbers and play around with things. So in here is obviously the place where you would say, okay, I'm going to buy one vouchers or two vouchers or more. You can decide when you want to start this model. The current year is probably the best because we know what the price of the annual passes are for the current year. We have a spot here where you can estimate what the increase will be every year going forward. Probably a conservative number is good here just to see how much you're going to save. I have a chart that kind of summarizes that other one I showed you in detail on the other page that tells you over the last 3 years it's been 10.87% in increases per year, whereas over 10 years it's been about 7%. So I think 6% is a pretty conservative number. If they actually increase by more than 6%, or even if they jump one up in the future in 1 year and then go 6% from there, you'll actually save more money. So we'll try that for now. The other concept is if you're going to buy a bunch of annual passes, you're going to have to use a bunch of cash you have laying around. Now, I don't suggest raiding retirement accounts to buy annual passes unless it's part of your long-term plan you've gone over with your financial planner. But if you've got a bunch of cash making some sort of interest, you want to take into account the opportunity cost of that lost interest. So let's say big bunch of money in an account, it's earning me 1%. That's pretty conservative too. If you're making 1% these days, you might even be doing all right. That's about as good as cash gets. And in these last two boxes, you just put in the current cost of an annual pass and the renewal cost, which I've already done. Over in this table is where all the magic will happen. The left column is a place where you can select the years you're going to take your trips. My original one didn't let you do this. It just kind of assumed you were going to start some year in the future and then just use them sequentially. The problem there is when they're all sequential, people started saying, hey, I can renew cheaper than I could buy a new annual pass every year, and that's true. But that was my version 1.0. In this one, we're going to take that into account, hopefully. And you can select years just by clicking. It's pretty easy. Okay. Once you enter your numbers on the left side and choose your years, you'll start seeing things pop up over here. It'll tell you how much interest you missed. It'll show you the trip numbers of the years you selected. And this is the already calculated AP cost over time based on the 6% increases. And these are the renewals based on that 6% increase too. Fun fact right now, it seems like renewals are about 15% off the full price. So I just used that round number. So it's all play money. So let's see how it goes. Once you enter your numbers and select your years, over here in this summary table, you'll see how much you had to lay out now to pay for all those annual passes. How much it would have cost you in the future had you bought them in each future year as you were going to use them, as well as any lost interest for the cash that you had to lay out. in one big bulk purchase. And then at the end, it'll show you how much you would save or lose by doing that. We'll ignore the renewal thing for now. So just for a simple example, let's say we're going to buy one annual pass and we're going to use it this year. I've already selected this year. It would cost me $12.95. If I bought it this year, it would cost me, surprise, $12.95. I'm not losing any interest opportunity because this is the year I'm purchasing it and using it. So we're going to assume the year that you purchased the AP is not a lost investment opportunity. So it's a wash. I'm not gaining or losing anything by buying an annual pass and using it this year. But let's say we're not going to use it this year. We're going to buy it one pass now. Excuse me if my voice cracks. And we're going to use it 2 years from now because we think 2020 is kind of crazy and we're not going anywhere for a while. And there are many reasons for that probably. So if we started in 2022, this is my one annual pass, 1 year. In the years leading up to it, I'm actually going to be out about $13 a year because of my 1% interest on that $12.95. So this year I would lay out my $12.95 for that pass, but I'm not using it until 2022. But if I had bought it that year, it would cost me $14.55. I missed out on a total of $26. So I'm actually ahead $134. That's pretty darn good. I spent one annual pass voucher cost and made $134 in the future. That's a few Mickey bars right there. So let's do it for a multiple annual pass purchase. Let's do 3. Let's say we're going to do 3 annual passes, and we're going to still start in 2022, and we're going to use them in a row. So then we can use our renewal cost comparison as well. So if we're going to buy 3 full price annual passes right now, those vouchers that are good until 2030, we're going to keep them in our safe at home under lock and key, break them out in 2022, and then use them sequentially. We're going to have to spend $3,885, including tax, right now. If I bought them in the future, starting in 2022, each year, it would actually cost me $46.32. I'm out a total of $117 in interest on that $38.85. So the summary is, I would actually have saved $631 if you take all of that into account. That's a pretty good net savings, $631. That's almost half an annual pass now. Pretty good. Now, because these are sequential, we can try comparing that to what if I just did one annual pass voucher now, and then in the following years, once I start using them, I just renew for the next 2 years. This table will tell you that. Buy one annual pass for $12.95. In the future, I'd have to pay the future renewal costs, which are going to be these two guys over here, $13.14 and $13.93. So that would cost me this. I would lose $26 in interest because it's really just the $12.95 interest opportunity lost for two years or so. And I'd actually be ahead. I'd be ahead $26 if I bought one annual pass now and then renewed them in the future, compared to my buying 3 annual passes now. So this is comparing the savings here by renewals versus my buying multiple annual passes now. This only works, this right table only works if my future trips are sequential. If you start spacing them out, these renewals are not apples to apples anymore because you can't buy a renewal if your trips are spaced out. And a lot of people do that, right? Sometimes your trip is not 12 months apart if you're taking one a year. If you're taking more than one a year, whatever. So maybe your trips are every other year. Let's try one of those. So let's keep the same setup, 3 annual passes. We're going to start in 2 years, but instead of every year, we're actually going to make our trips every 2 years. And you can see that we're actually going to save more money because every year that we wait to use the annual pass voucher, the cost of the annual pass goes up. So, by the time 2026 runs around, the annual passes are going to cost $18.37 if it's increasing 6% a year. So in this scenario, with the first trip in 2022 and using them every other year, if we bought them all now, they'd cost us $38.85 still, but our future cost would be $49.27. our interest lost is $155, and we'd be ahead of $887. That's pretty good. You can do this for any number of passes. You might also notice, let me say this first too, if you don't select the right number of years that you selected here, you put in 3 vouchers and then you only selected 2 years, you'll get an error up here and it'll tell you, go see the error. Oh, I have to select another year, right? If you select too many years, it's the same thing. You selected more years, telling you not to select so many. So you won't get a mistake if you select too many. This will tell you the error, and then you have to go fix it. So anyway, back to our 3-pass setup here. We saved $887 by laying out all that money right now. Pretty good. This is for one person, by the way, right? We're not buying 3 annual passes and then using for 3 people at 1 year in the future. We're using for one person over multiple years. You'd have to multiply this for more than one person. So now, here's another cool thing. Let's say you use all these numbers as they are, but you make an estimated guess that, hey, I think in 2022, they're also going to raise the price of the pass more than that 6%, just in that 1 year. Say because of the anniversary coming up, you think they're going to really go up to $1,700 because Disney really wants to squeeze you, or they have to cover all of the things they need to do now in 2020 for all of the sanitary masks and things like that. So let's make this year's turn into $1,700 instead of that other price. Now it will actually override this table. Anything you do here will override these numbers and start calculating from there. And now we're actually going to save $1,700 if you were right and the annual pass prices jumped up to $1,700 in 2022, and you had already bought your annual passes this year, you would be ahead $1,700. And just to see it again, I'm going to take away this $1,700. You can change any of the numbers in this red column, and it gives you a warning that you're using the override in case you didn't notice or somebody does it before you if you're using my shared sheet. I'm going to delete the $1,700, and let's see what happens to this savings number. Back down to $1,887. And it jumps so much because when you say this is going to go up by $250, everything else went up by $250 and then also increased by 6% from that number. So a very interesting concept. You can buy a bunch now and save a lot of money later. Another cool thing that I have here is a giant chart that is a little more simplified. You want to have your numbers in here already, and you go over to this chart. See on the bottom of the sheet, there's multiple AP purchase chart. This just gives you an idea of how much you can save by the number of passes that you purchase. And you just have to put a first year of your trip here. This one uses that sequential usage thing. You'd be using them in a row, so it's not really going to be exact, but it's going to be close. So if I'm going to start my first trip in 2022, and I bought 3 annual passes, I'd be saving $631 if I use them sequentially. If they're spaced out, this chart isn't helping you. The other chart in detail is what you need to look at. If I actually was thinking, hey, I'm going to retire in 2027 and then use 3 years of annual passes, I'm going to do that. So way out 7 years from now, I'm going to start using these guys. I paid the current prices for them. I'm actually saving $2,000. That's more than a current price of an annual pass. That's pretty good. So this is just a good way to get an idea what you do. If you were totally into it, you know you're going to buy 10 years of annual passes and start using them in 2022, you're actually saving $5,387. That's pretty wild. And that's also assuming any annual pass vouchers now that you purchase are still going to be valid more than 10 years from now because you'd start using them in the future. But anyway, I think I've spoken way too many words to explain a concept that's probably simpler than I explained it. But for fun, I think this table's pretty cool. Just remember, put the number of vouchers you think you might want to buy, put your estimates in for how much annual passes will increase and how much money you would have earned on your cash, and then just select your years. 3 annual passes. First trip in 2024, spacing them out every other year, I'm saving $1,418. Pretty good deal. Hope that wasn't too confusing. I hope you have fun with it. If you use my sheet, let me know if there's anything that didn't work out for you. Have a great day.